Hello friends, I am Megan and welcome to my channel Creating Essence. This is Cooper. He says hi too. If you hear any background noise, I apologize. My neighbors are having their pool work done, so it's a little bit noisy from time to time. But today I wanted to talk to you about summer reading, or just reading. What's on my reading list? I love to read. I'm not sure how I have time, but I seem to get it done. I want to go through what I just finished, what I'm reading now, what's on my list for summer, and a couple of recommendations that I love to read over and over and over again. If that sounds like something that's interesting to you, stick around. So, number one, what I just finished. This is Brave Enough by Nicole Eunice. It is such an incredible book. I had the pleasure of reading this book with a group of ladies from my church. We got together every other Tuesday and discussed whatever we had set out to read over that time. It was such an amazing book. I loved it. The premise of the book, well, the subtitle is Getting Over Our Fears, Flaws, and Failures to Live Bold and Free. And it really did such an amazing job of that. I loved it. Like I was saying, the premise of the book is, if you've ever read The Chronicles of Narnia, or even seen the movie, they included that line there. But if you've ever read The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, during the scene in the woods where Father Christmas stops and gives all the children and the beavers gifts, you might remember that he gave Lucy a dagger and a healing cordial. And when Father Christmas hands Lucy the dagger, he says, you know, basically, this is serious. Things are going to get dangerous. Do you think you can be brave? And she says, I think I can be brave enough. And that is what this book is about. Helping us to see and process and realize some of these struggles and things that we can come across and deal with that can hamper us in living our best and strongest and being the most equipped for what it is that we face in everyday life, the good and the bad. Excellent book. So good. I recommend it highly. Now, what am I currently reading? I am in a mentoring group called Sowing Seeds, and the book we are currently reading that we just started is Praying the Names of God by Anne Spangler. This is a really awesome book that breaks down all of the biblical and historical names for God and just talks through the various usages and really gets into why those are names for God and what they mean. And yeah, that's about it so far from what I'm reading. I only just started it. But this is really an awesome book that really helps you understand better the attributes of God in a different way. The other book that I just started, that is something I've been really looking forward to since it was first published this winter, is What Falls from the Sky by Esther Emery. I am part of the Homestead Skill of the Month Club here on YouTube on Esther Emery's channel. It's kind of a self-sufficiency type of lifestyle that she represents there or presents there on her channel, and really just breaks things down really easily so that anybody who just wants to be a little more self-sufficient can learn about it and try to put some things into practice. Her book, though, is such, I'm only into the first section, and it is so good. She is so raw and open about some struggles that she and her husband really just wrestled with early on in their marriage. And it is an incredible book. And her subtitle is How I Disconnected from the Internet and Reconnected with the God Who Made the Clouds. It is a fantastic book so far, and I've heard nothing but amazing feedback on it, and I'm really excited to dig into it more. Now, what's on my summer reading list? The first one is one that I started this winter but never got around to finishing, and that is Raising Uncommon Kids by Sammy Cohn. The subtitle is 12 Biblical Traits You Need to Raise Selfless Kids. I started it and I loved it, but then I just had too much on my plate with the reading for the mentorship program, and then I just kind of lost track of this. So, since the mentorship program is about to wrap up, I'm digging into some other books that I can really study and work on. And this is one of them that I'm excited to get back into. As the subtitle says, that's exactly what it is. And it really is an awesome, helpful book that I am excited to dig into more. Next is Triggers by Amber Leah and Wendy Speak. I heard about this book on Christy Clover's Simply Joyful podcast. If you haven't heard Christy's podcast, give it a listen. It is so encouraging, and she has some great mamas on there who just give really practical advice. This book, the subtitle is Exchanging Parents' Angry Reactions for Gentle Biblical Responses. I don't know a single parent who that could not apply to. No matter how relaxed we are and permissive we are, or how strict we are, we all struggle with that. Not one of us doesn't lose our temper, I promise. I am really, really excited when I heard Amber Leah speak on Christy's podcast. I was so excited, and immediately, like before the podcast was even over, was on Amazon adding this to my wish list. I am excited to read this book. And next is another book that I started reading. I pre-ordered it when it was first in the pre-order stage last summer. And when it came last fall, again, I just had too much on my plate and I really couldn't dig in the way I wanted to. And that is Homestead Kitchen by Eve and Ivan Kilcher. I've gone through and looked at some of the recipes in here, and they have fantastic good classic cooking recipes that are probably something more unique and a little bit more, I guess, down to earth than your typical recipe book. Like this is for Sourdough Starter and how to make a sourdough starter to make your own sourdough bread, which is a lot easier than you might think. But it has a lot of great practical from scratch cooking recipes that are really wholesome and a lot easier than you'd imagine, like goat's milk yogurt. I mean, really, do you have a recipe book with goat's milk yogurt in it? And they have so many stories, and they talk about life on the homestead in real, true Homestead, Alaska. Not Homestead, Alaska, Homer, Alaska, but their homestead outside of Homer. And I am looking forward to getting to actually read that instead of just skimming recipes to grab one. And that is my summer reading list. I'm really hoping to be able to dig into those and maybe start checking things off my bookshelf that have just been sitting wanting to be read forever, because I'm kind of a book hoarder and I have a lot of favorites that I would love to read again. Speaking of which, my 3 top go-to recommendations that I will read again, and 2 of them I have read over and over several times. Number 1, this is the only one that I haven't reread over and over, and that is because I just got it in November and I read it and I loved it. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know I posted things, segments of this all the time on Instagram when I was reading it. But this is Uninvited by Lisa TerKeurst, and the subtitle is Living Loved When You Feel Less Than, Left Out, and Lonely. Is there a single mom that does not feel this way in her busy mom life? Just left out? And the whole concept or situation that social media creates by making it seem like everybody's always out doing things with their friends and I'm still here with baby poop under my fingernails. Maybe it's just me. No, I don't think so. But anyways, this is such a great book about that entire dynamic, and I really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it. I will absolutely be reading this again, probably the next time I'm having a pity party. Excuse me. Another one that I love is I Will Carry You by Angie Smith. It's a little beaten up. It's a lot of beaten up. It's been read a lot of times here. Angie Smith is the wife of Todd Smith, the lead singer of the group Selah. And they have a little girl. Well, they have 4 little girls, or 5 now. They have Charlotte too. Anyways, they had, when their 4th daughter, when they were pregnant with their 4th daughter, they found out that she had some serious physical struggles. And in the end, Audrey did not make it long outside her mama's womb. And this is, the subtitle is The Sacred Dance of Grief and Joy. And it's just a beautiful, really raw look at what it's like to go through a pregnancy when you know your baby has a terminal diagnosis, and what it's like to lose a baby. This is something that I highly recommend for anyone who is going through a loss, has gone through a loss. If you know someone going through a loss, just so you can kind of get that picture into what it's like, so that you can really understand what they're feeling and maybe help them more, maybe just get it a little more. But I also think it is really important for life, for adulting. I think everyone should read this book and be able to see, because 1 in 4 women will have a miscarriage, and 1 in 20 women will have a stillbirth, which is the same as a miscarriage, but it takes place after 20 weeks gestation, and a miscarriage is before 20 weeks gestation. So 1 in 4 women experience the loss of a child. That is a huge number, and that is something that applies to all of us. This book I cannot recommend highly enough. And lastly, maybe a little bit more of a niche, my doula is showing Ina May's Guide to Childbirth. If you are past your childbearing years, it's still a great read to be able to support the women around you, daughters, granddaughters, anyone. Help empower and support them when they're having a baby. If you are in the middle of having children, if you are pregnant, I read this every time I'm pregnant, and it just helps me feel so empowered and reminds me of what an incredible job my body is doing during pregnancy and has coming up, and it's really helpful and encouraging. And if you're going to have children someday, also a good read. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's practical, it's useful, and it is amazing just talking about the power of women and physiologically and emotionally what's happening during pregnancy and childbirth, and the enormous range of normal, so you're not so freaked out when all these weird things are happening. But I love it, and I cannot recommend it highly enough. And in case I didn't say it, again, Ina May's Guide to Childbirth by Ina May Gaskin. It is awesome. So that's it. That is my list. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Have you read any of these books? Do you look forward to reading any of them? Are any of them on your Amazon wish list? What is on your summer reading list in general? I would love to hear from you. Leave it in the comments below. I'll talk to you later, friends. Bye-bye.